Yay, hi. Child Development 112. Tonight we are talking, we're week 8, but tonight we want to start off talking about the mandated reporter. And this is a requirement that we've made in the class, and it is worth a lot of points. And so we want to make sure everybody's successful at it. And we just revamped it a little bit, so we appreciate your flexibility, but I want to walk us all through it to where we know how to and where to upload stuff. Good? Good. And then I'll answer questions. Just jump in. Just jump in. Good,
Thank
Jody?
you.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah. Okay, well, first of all, this is I have the screen share on for mandatereporterca.com. And again, I trust that everybody's been in there, and you can tell that this is my profile because it has my name in there and my email. And then when I go to profile right here, it'll tell me which classes I've taken. Now, for me, I've only just completed the 4-hour training. I still have to complete the 3-hour training and then take the test. So it's 8 hours total. The bigger picture here is that there's 8 hours of training. Whether you're updated or new to this, everybody's doing 8 hours of training. So keep that in the back of your head, 8 hours, right? So for courses, so I hit profile and then I hit courses, and then it'll tell me what classes I've taken. Now, with that in mind, I'll show you Canvas in a second where we have the columns separated for the 4-hour certificate, the 3-hour child care provider certificate, and then the 3 reflections. We have those all separate. However, if for you, they all go together on one submission, that's cool too. We're okay with that. So nice. My battery's low. Hold on. There we go. So again, however you guys can get it in, we are flexible. We will make it happen. We want to give you all the points that you guys have earned. We definitely want to reward your hard work because 8 hours is a lot. And if you noticed, I extended the due dates because we had it before spring break. Now it's after spring break because of the weird stuff that we changed around. We gave you a little bit extra time to, us all to figure it out. And with that, I ungraded everything, and I'm going to go back and regrade. Make sense? Because we had it all kind of in one column, and then people were getting confused, so now we separated it out. And even if your pieces show up differently, we'll still give you the credit. So right here, if you look, let's see, courses. I started the child care provider one, but I didn't finish it, so it tells me incomplete. I'm going to go back to courses right here, and then it's going to tell me for the 4-hour one, you don't necessarily get a certificate. I think they used to do it. Like Jackie, you were saying that you had one and it expired.
No, you know what I was looking at as you pulled it up right now? I think I was talking about the child. That's what I was showing as expired.
Oh, that makes sense.
You're not alone.
I'm all like, wait, that's what I was looking at, because the other one, I only got one certificate, and I think that's what you were telling me, that I had to do like a screenshot or whatnot.
Right. So if you look right here, you'll see my 4-hour training. It says complete. Gives me an exclamation mark, but it doesn't give me a certificate.
Yeah.
But if you look over here, child care providers, I haven't started or haven't finished it, and it's the 3 hours, and then it tells me I'm going to take an exam, and it also tells me right here I'm going to get a certificate. It doesn't tell me I'm going to get a general certificate. So this right here, to prove that you took the 4-hour one, just take a screenshot.
Okay.
And because right there it says training complete, and we'll take it.
Okay. All right. So then on one of them, I guess the way, if it's okay, I'm just going to do a screenshot for the general, and then I'll do the certificate for the childcare, and then I'll resubmit the paragraph thing or the paper.
Exactly. Now, again, cool. if you submit the 4-hour, the 3-hour, and the 3 reflections in one chunk, in one thing, we can flesh it out and separate the points.
Oh, yeah, because I did that in the beginning, but I didn't do the screenshot, so that's the only thing I'm missing.
So that was part of the reason why I ungraded everything, to give everybody a chance to oh, just kidding, I'm gonna put that in the right spot. Right. So is that a little bit clearer? I'm going to keep going and show you Canvas in a sec, but how is this settling out for you guys?
It's better, yes.
Better. Okay, good. And now here's the thing. Please check your screenshots, because I know some people were giving me a URL, just the address bar, and throwing that in as a screenshot. But here's the thing. if it's a URL of something that you logged into, like you're never going to be able to look at a link that I logged into because this is my profile. If I'm not sharing this screen, you can't see what I'm saying. If I just sent you a website that said, oh, look at this website, it's my profile. I have to log into it. Not everybody has access to it. So people are sending me like not screenshots, but like a URL, like a hyperlink, the blue bar with the underline, right? And if I click on it, it'll say 404 or 403 or something like that. I can't access, basically, Jackie, I can't access your email or I can't access your Canvas, that kind of situation. If you've logged in, it's super private. So literally has to be a screenshot and not a website.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's just, it just, and you know, and here's another thing. And Jody does the same thing. We put a ton of comments in the grading submissions. So let's say I had somebody submit like reflection for the 4 hour and the reflection for the 3 hour, and they submitted the exact same one. And I just put, hey, like I graded the 4 hour reflection, but the 3 hour one, hey, it's a duplicate. I put that in there. Hey, I'm not sure if you're aware, but this is a duplicate. I'll give you a couple more days to like get the right document in.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it was just a mistake. And so if you don't read those comments, you're not going to know. So I always tell people, go back to your grade sheet and go under instructor comments, because we got a lot to say. Neither one of us are short on the words.
No, yeah, you guys write good comments on there, so
We're like,
I'm always looking at them.
I'm glad you read them.
Yeah.
good. Yeah. And so good with the website, with the portal,
Yeah, so I'm just gonna screenshot it is what I'm gonna do, and then I'll just attach it. And I mean, if it's not appropriate, just let me know.
Yeah, if it's a screenshot, it's an image, it'll say JPEG or
Yeah.
GIF or TIFF, you're good. But if it says .html or .ht whatever, you're gonna,
Yeah.
it's probably
Yeah.
not gonna work. Yeah, and trust me. And plus, even with us, we've tried to do it. Like it doesn't work especially if you have an Outlook or it's embedded or you're coming from like a school district, everything's like super secure. It's never gonna work. Just needs to be a picture. And you can even in a pinch, get out your phone as I drop my phone.
That works.
Yeah, like literally get out your phone and be like I'm taking a picture of my screen. It might be weird and fuzzy, but it's better than nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's better than absolutely nothing. Okay, good. So any questions on here before? Any questions before I like move on?
No.
Okay, good. So I'm going to go to Canvas and show you what the grade sheet looks like. Now, mind you, since I'm not a student in Canvas, it gives me like, I'm the test student. So it kind of gives me a list of everything that's due. And by the way, I haven't turned anything in because I'm a test student. So
you're not a very good student.
I know, I'm terrible. So it just gives a list. So let me do a new share because I know that's that one particular. Let me try this one. I think this shows everything. Okay, so this is what the grade sheet looks like. See if it's like kind of a pinky purple on the outside. That's how we know it's the student view. So yeah, missing. Look at all my stuff that's missing. So this tells you everything that was due and with the score and what, like, so for me, I just put in dummy scores. I always get a 5 out of 5. That's so good. I get 100%, but it helps us to like see what like the just a straight score would look like. Now over here under this checkbox is where you can see instructors' comments and submissions. So as you keep going down here, right here, you'll see mandated reporter. I'm going to leave that right there. So I did 4 hour, 3 hour exam reflection, 4 hour reflection, 3 hour. This is supposed to be reflection. Wait. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Let me take it back. Here's the 4 hour certificate. So because it was 4 hours, we called it 75 points. Because it's the whole assignment's out of 155. The actual certificates are out of 125. So we went 75 and 50. So this 75 means that you've given us a screenshot of your 4 hour completion. This 50 right here says that you've given us a screenshot of your 3 hour completion, right? Then we have reflection for 10, 10, 10. Now again, these can all show up in one clump and we'll figure it out. That's not a problem. But what was happening is that people were doing the 3-hour one and submitting it and going, oh, done. And I was like, nope, nope. So if you need the alternative hours, so let's say somebody just got hired at like, Orange Unified, and they went through the 8 hours, or they're at Child Time or Head Start or whatever, and they went through the 8 hours, we consider that not fair if somebody already did it and then they're just going to be sitting back with their feet up when everybody else is doing 8 hours.
Exactly.
So we put out the alternative training, meaning Jody has this awesome list of all these really cool 90-minute, they're really cool, 90-minute certificate, like little webinars. And by the way, they're all certificates. You download that, you tack that onto your resume.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we also, that's the best part of the community college. We don't just have our head stuck in some research or in a book or whatever. Nicole's here, yay. But we support the community. We reflect the community. We want you to be career ready. Like even in the middle of your studies. Like once you take 112, you should be able to go to work as an assistant teacher. Right? So if you've taken 107, 110, 112, you're already 3 classes in. Yeah.
And the other thing that I want to add to that is that if you get your child development permit and all you need is 2 classes to do that, in between renewing your permit or upgrading your permit, well, within 5-year period, you have to complete 105 hours of professional growth. And that's typically, if you take 2 college classes and renew your CPR and first aid, that pretty much covers that. But once you have all those down, you still need 105 hours every 5 years of professional growth. And all these little webinars count as professional growth. So you save all those certificates. So don't.
Listen, I do that as an untenured faculty member.
Yeah.
In the fall, the dean's like, what have you been doing all year? I'm like, oh, look at all these certificates. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm no joke. I'm doing these things. Why do you think I'm taking the mandated reporter one? Like, I've been a mandated reporter for 20 years, maybe longer. It's time for a refresher, plus I wanted to like literally experience like what you guys are experiencing. It's been helpful for us to see the other side of that coin too.
Absolutely.
And by the way, I'm screenshotting all of it. So
okay.
I see a screen, I'm like, screenshot, Word document, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like kind of crazy like that. But so does this make more sense in Canvas when you see it like this? And Nicole, we can answer some more of your questions. We may have already answered a few, but we're talking a lot more about this mandated reporter so everybody can be successful. So jump in if you have anything. Does this make sense in Canvas?
Yes.
4-hour, the 3-hour, and the 3 reflections. Now,
and I think what Melody did is she did one of the trainings.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
And I was like, good for you.
That's awesome. That's an extra 9. So in that column where it says alternative hours, it says 10, but I started numbering. I think I should put 0 there because some people need it. What do you think, Jody? Some people need it, some people don't. So it should be out of 0, right? So maybe I just missed.
I know, and that's when I got moved up. I started to grade 1, and I was like, well, I thought you were doing them in hours. Yep. So in one student, I just put 1.5, and then I went, well, that just looks weird when everything else is in points. It doesn't make any sense. And
well,
so
I stopped. So if somebody's doing the alternative hours and they technically have to get 8 out of 0, I think an extra 8 points for the 8 hours of that. I mean, I was like, we can always like put the number in as hours and at the end rectify it.
And that's what I figured. You and I need to talk about how to do that. We'll do that later.
Yeah. And so we're just, so again, if you are in the mandated or like this alternative stuff and you see a 1.5 here, don't freak out. That's a good thing. That means an hour and a half. For now, it's like a placeholder. Yeah. So because again, the overarching idea here is that everybody has to do 8 hours, whether they're doing it all in these certificates or they're doing it if they've already done these certificates and they need to just do these other additional trainings. And so basically it's a win-win-win for all of us. You guys are hyper ready. You guys are ready to work. And trust me, we before we even developed this in the class, we touched base with our peers who are owners and directors. And we said, what do
Mhm.
you think? And they said, yes, make our students do it, because at the end of your learning, that doesn't make sense to do it at the end when in fact we're talking about child development, milestones, stress, trauma, family issues, culture. Like, why would we not talk about abuse, right? And the fact that
Right.
we are professional mandated reporters. So yeah, I'm really excited that we are doing this. I think it's
Me
holding
too.
all of our feet to the fire. Um, and
Mhm.
and I don't know about you, but if I was going to write a reflection, it would include, man, this stuff is depressing. It is.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
is. It's completely depressing. And it's like, good Lord, like, ugh, there's a lot there, but that shows that we're not in it for the sunshines and rainbows. We're not. We're not. We're in it. We're in it, good and bad. We're in it. And so I'm just really happy that you guys are sticking it out and you guys are still with us and trying to do your best. And we're here to help support that. We want you to do your best. We want to help show up what that looks like. So whatever the grade sheet is, it will be accurate to what you've given us. Whether it's in there in one spot in 5 separate spots or you emailed it to us, we'll figure it out. Good? Okay, questions on that? Because then we can move on to content. Yeah, so if you notice about it, like I'm a little bit like a dog with a bone with the tech. I won't I mean, maybe it's because when I was young and I watched Terminator and like the machines were taking over, I was like, hell no, that's not gonna happen to me. Sorry. Like I'm the one that's like, oh, the computer wants to like tell me what to do. No. No, 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 no. I will lose sleep and I will dig down until that computer does what I say, not the other way around. So I'm a little bit of a dog with a bone to make it right. So please, please always let me know or let us know how we can make it right. You know what? If I don't know and Jody doesn't know, we'll figure it out. I'm telling you, that
Yeah.
Terminator messed me up like Jaws. You know, from like still to this day, I'm like, is that computer? Is that like, is it sentient? Is it have a mind of its own? No, no, no. I am still the master of the computer, especially Canvas. I'm like, I have taken so many dang trainings in Canvas. I better be okay with it. So just let me know and you task me with stuff to figure it out. And if I can't figure it out, listen, I've called the support line at 2 a.m. Don't tell me it's 24 hours if you're not going to.
Test it.
I will. I will make sure that you are staying for 24 hours, and I will like exercise that right.
Yeah, there you go. I like it.
I think I called him on like Easter, like
On when?
Easter.
Easter?
Yeah, it was like something was like going through my head, and it was like driving me crazy. And like we're not really like a big Easter family, so I was like, and it was before the boys woke up, and I was like, okay, literally. And I think I was made on the chat feature. I was like, okay, this is not happening. And I figure somebody's working right now. They said 24 hours, like, hey, let's give you something to do. We'll talk. So we'll make it happen. We're gonna make it happen. I don't let anybody like sway in the wind, and I know Jody's like super committed to you guys too. So we're here. We're here to make it right. Cool. All right. Any questions, Nicole? I'm giving you like one more option to jump in if you need, or put it in the chat because I know we kind of like answered a bunch of stuff before you jumped in.
I don't have any questions at the moment.
Okay, cool. All right, but let us know. Here's another piece. Jody and I talk like every day, and we'll say like, hey, did you see that one email from so-and-so, or did you see that one like submission? I think she put the wrong class in there. Or, like, we talk all the time. So we're trying to constantly make things right. So if you're not sure how you can make things right or you need help making things right, just reach out, ask us. Yeah, trust me. We are like major advocates, like one day at a time, and we'll make it right as much as we possibly can. Good? Okay, good. So I'm going to stop share. And then Jody, did I give you? Okay.
You did give me sharing.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
I'm like, I got to find my Zoom. What do you want me to share?
And then here, you know what? I can share the real quick, the PowerPoint.
Oh, okay.
So, although it's not showing up right now.
Oh.
Hold
Yeah,
on,
I
let me
have
see if I can do it. I just made like a quick little PowerPoint, and I
oh, okay.
may
Here.
have. Oh, you know, it's in my Google Slides. So week 8, no big deal. Like we just wanted to talk. We just wanted to do mostly a check-in, see how you guys are doing. Did anybody want to tell us what you did for spring break? Anything exciting?
I didn't do anything.
All right, cool.
Did you at least sleep in or do some self-care?
Yeah, I
Good.
did some self-care.
That's to me that's a vacation, a staycation.
Yeah.
I didn't quite get my hair did, but I did get my toes did. So there's that check.
I'm jealous. I have to admit.
Yeah, but you got a facial last week or the week before. So, yeah, I'm overdue. I'm overdue. So yeah, self-care, however you can do it. And to me, sleeping in like 30 minutes is like
Heaven.
winning the lottery. I swear to God. So whatever you can do, or we drove to the beach, or we went to a new little breakfast place. We didn't do a whole lot. I really wanted to go out of town, but it takes too much energy to do that. And then when I come back, I need a vacation for my vacation. Last spring break, I had a cruise, the first cruise for my whole family scheduled for my husband's 50th.
Oh, and then COVID.
I was like, well, I guess Hawaii will be there later. Like it was like this thing, it was weird. And he was like, you just don't want to go. And I was like, it is a global pandemic. And that one ship that got stuck outside of Oakland, they were quarantined on that ship for 90 days.
Yeah, no thanks.
And there were people dying.
Yeah.
So like you're like trapped. Oh, I was like, oh no.
And you don't want to be able to stay in your room, and those rooms are not big.
No. And then these two clowns, come on.
I'm glad you didn't go.
I would have jumped off the side of that ship and like swam. Like I was like, no.
Someplace. Well, we
So-
both got our COVID shots. I think you got yours on Good Friday, and I got mine on Easter Sunday. Our second COVID shot. So
I did.
we were celebrating the holidays, the Easter a little bit different.
Yeah. So I got my double vax, which is cool and all that. And so just looking ahead, I know because Jody is like our consultant and our extraordinaire, like our in resident extraordinaire. You're going to be doing still in the fall hybrid classes, right? Hybrid, remote blended. Right?
I know that 220 is going to be hybrid, remote blended.
Meaning like she doesn't typically come to campus, which is your choice, which I love. I think we give our students all different options. So in the fall, you'll be teaching, just as a plug, if you're not enrolled in our class.
The trauma for early childhood. Well, it's trauma and resilience. We don't have a name for it yet. It's called 220. The child is victim, which whoever gave that name to it was out of their mind. But it is what it is. But
if you like how we co-teach this, and I won't be co-teaching in the fall, but it's this, but it's like extra. I honestly, I really wish that we could mandate that class as trauma and resilience, because it applies to, it's like the mandated reporter, but it's deeper and more qualitative and more I don't know how do I describe that class. It's deeper and wider when it comes to like the mandated reporter. If you could have like Jody teaching you all about I guess the upsides to resilience and all the silver linings in there, that's the whole class. And so I strongly
it's about looking at trauma and things, adverse childhood experiences, as well as positive childhood experiences, which kind of offset the adverse childhood experiences. There can be this offsetting that goes on with the two of them. And it's looking at both of them, and it's looking at it from your perspective and how you grew up, and maybe things that happened to you in your life, because that affects how you interact with children. So if you have perhaps you have a child who's experiencing has a father or a parent or somebody in their home who's an alcoholic, or perhaps you've been through some kind of social inequality that's happened within your life, across your life, that can definitely affect you and how you interact with other people. And what do you do when you have a dad who maybe shows up and you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, this dad is not fit to take this child home, and I now have to call the police because I can't release this child or find somebody else who can come get the child. And now I'm thinking about, oh my gosh, I grew up, my father was an alcoholic, and you're starting to have these memories of being, and so now you are triggered and dysregulated, and you're trying to deal with something that's going on in your classroom. That is another issue. And one of the things that happens is when our bodies are in that fight, flight, or freeze mode, is it shuts down your ability to kind of articulate and say things. Like, think about somebody says, why'd you do that? What's that? You get that tension, right? That
I learned a lot just by, co-teaching with you, is like, I'll deer in the headlights a lot more than I thought. I'll be like, what just happened? And then
yeah,
then it takes me a second to process, but that's based on early childhood stuff. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. And even if I was like even witnessing an accident, I've seen them where I just kind of freeze for a second and then I functional, but we're all human. But what does it
right.
look like in the classroom as a teacher, as a provider, as the adult leader? It's wild. And I can tell you, I've also uncovered that kids don't trigger me. Adults trigger me. Like I'm pretty like empathetic with kids. I'm like, oh, they're just little and they're still learning.
And yeah, I think we're able to
Adults,
give them that grace.
right? Adults, I'm like, back off, man. Like, boundaries. Like, it's an interesting thing. So, and that's really interesting. That's how I kind of came to this work, is like, kids are learning that stuff. They're not born with like that fight, that they're not born with the deer in the headlights. They kind of learn that one a little bit, right? And so it's a thing where it's like, I love being around kids because they're still innocent and they're still learning. But what are we teaching them by our own reactions? So please, please, please consider taking 220 in the fall. I'm a big fan of that. I will be on campus. I organize most of my class. I do 5 or 6, and I think 4 are face to face. So in the fall, just keep that in mind. I'm double vaxxed. I'm absolutely in it to win it with you guys. I miss
Yeah.
being on campus. I miss students. I don't mind the
Is
tech,
the canvas going to be open?
as far as we know. Now, again,
As we know, yeah.
there could be another
But
something or
it's
other.
not going to be fully open, but it will be open. Some departments have to, I think, decide how much of their course loads they're going to be on campus, and how much are going to be blended remote, and how much are going to be just, whatever.
So
So
for us as a
Is it going to be
department,
required to have the vaccine?
so here's the thing on that. Nobody can require it.
make you do it.
Got you.
I think there is one little caveat, but it's not technically for students. It's just for private industry. Like if you work for
And
a
they can do
private
it.
firm, they might be able to, like if you work for like a law firm or something, or you work for a private industry, they can in their bylaws put that. But for students, we can't even ask. You can't even ask.
Oh,
You
really?
can't even ask your teacher.
But that doesn't mean that you'll still have to wear masks. I mean, even if they take all the restrictions away, like they talk about, okay, we're going to open up, what they don't say is that you're still probably going to be wearing a mask.
Yeah, I have to factor that in too, because I do a lot of like activities, like art supplies and stuff, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. Anything that's shared scissors, nope, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that.
Yeah, there's
wow.
things you don't know.
I've never lectured with it. I mean, like the upside of this is I'm not lecturing with a mask on. But now I have to be like lecturing in front of a class like this. So how's that going to work? How is that going to work? I don't know. I don't know if we're going to have this and a face shield or one or the other. I don't know. Or I'm going to get the one with the little digital readout. Have you seen the one? It's a little tiny, all these tiny little, it's like a little grid of LED lights and it kind of moves to the way. I might do it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right.
That's funny.
So again, we are, as a department, we decided to do whatever the professor is comfortable with, we'll do that format. And just in so doing, we have online only, we have remote, we have hybrid, and we have face to face. So we've covered all the bases in our department. So we're just really excited to be able to accommodate you guys and your schedules and things like that. So I'm really excited for that. So looking ahead, which is nice. Which is nice.
I'll be on campus in the spring. It just the way my schedule works is that we typically take off in our motorhome in the fall and go somewhere. Most of the time we're in Minnesota visiting our granddaughter. And so we'll be on the road in the fall. And so that's just the way it works.
Great.
Is
Well, as you
more
should.
time to travel. So I just teach from the motorhome, back in the motorhome. It works just fine.
No, it works. I mean, your internet set is like awesome. You do really good with that. So
Yeah.
so this
yeah.
week we're doing child maltreatment and children's mental health. So a lot going on this week. Let me get out my book.
It is they are tough topics. And I apologize, it took me a while to get them all together. One of my biggest problems is I'm a hoarder, and unlike
in the best of all possible ways.
I just collect all kinds of data and reports, and I'm constantly reading about trauma, maltreatment, children's mental health, all of this stuff. I'm constantly reading about it. And so what I have a hard time is distilling down to the most important things that I think that I want you to take away from this. And so sometimes, and how do you talk about child malnutrition? I mean, child maltreatment in such a short amount of time, 1 week, and talk about children's mental health. So I broke it down into the maltreatment piece is about what is it. It's kind of like what we went through with the mandated reporter stuff, and not trying to repeat all that as well. But how can we protect it? And then the children's mental health, ACEs, and talking about adverse childhood experiences, and interventions, and then it's kind of the same type of thing. So finding those.
I like that you went out of order and chose these two to put it together, because I do see a confluence there. I do see how they're connected. And so there's this thing where, I mean, even before COVID, childhood anxiety was on the rise. I mean, like kids as young as 6 years old reporting they're worried and anxious and unsettled.
And it's really bad now. If you think it was bad then, it's really bad now.
Yeah. And so that was before COVID. I mean, and then you think, well, what before COVID, what would a 6-year-old be worried about? Well, it could be a lot of things actually once you start uncovering it, again, like with the mandated reporter piece, like obviously abuse is bad. That's the obvious thing, but it could be something as benign as food insecurity. And I don't mean benign as dismissive as, I know some families really struggle with food insecurity, but the parents make sure that the kids eat, but still the kids notice that the parents aren't eating, that kind of situation. So things like that were an issue for kids. And now we have COVID, and and then there's that whole piece, and we'll talk more about that. Is it? Let me double check. Is it? Yeah, next week we're going to talk more about the children with special needs. But this is like the precursor to that. You could have a typically developed child who has anxiety, right? It could be something that they're even bullied at school, even at as young as 6, 5. My son had an issue in kindergarten. He was like, the ninjas won't let me use the slide. I was like, really? Are we starting that already? And yeah, the answer is yes. And he was 5. I was like, right? And so the children's mental health and child maltreatment, in a weird way, they do go together, because a lot of times parents are so stressed out themselves, or having sobriety issues, or have anxiety issues themselves, that the children, I mean, there is a genetic component to, stress and anxiety, but there's also the environmental factors. And so children can very easily become maltreated if there's additional things in the mix. And we'll talk more about the special needs next week, but even typically developed kids can be ignored, neglected, and worse. And that always just kind of backfires into the mental health. So, yeah, Jody?
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. She's like, I'll just let
Oh, I'm looking through this. It's called, it was a report called Stress in America 2020. And Mary and I were talking about this. And so I was reading because I was looking at the stress, and I was looking for information about children and stress and how teen suicides are up like crazy. I mean, it is just insane right now.
I've heard from even my students, not them particularly, but like losing a family member or a friend.
Mhm.
I mean, like COVID's hard enough, and then you have somebody who, ugh, and I could tell you, coming to this work from the social work community, and I worked with people who are suicidal constantly.
Mhm.
The 5150s, and just so if you're not aware, 5150 is literally taking somebody's rights away for 72 hours to put them in a hospital to make sure that they are not a danger to self or others. And so that is on the rise, and it's kind of understandable in a way, but at the same time, with the advent of computers and computer gaming, kids don't really understand the full value of like, here is me and here's not me. Like, here's me alive and here's me not alive. This is not Super Mario Kart where you just like boof and just keep going, like you just reappear, right? And so it's really something when there's a teenager who cannot see that light at the end of the tunnel, can't see nowhere out. And I literally can, I've said this a million times, I literally can imagine being a teenager right now. I had rough teen years. I had periods of not being very safe myself. But I didn't have COVID and I didn't have social media. Holy cow. That's like, that probably would have sent me over the edge. One or both of those things. And so and even with adults too, I don't even know if I was like 20 something and I was in college classes, if I would have stayed through COVID. It's a lot, and you guys are dealing with a lot. So again, and if you're dealing with a lot, how are the kids doing?
Because they pick up what they're picking up, the stress that we're feeling. Those little mirror neurons. You can't put a black curtain over them. They're there.
Yeah. And I even noticed it today. I was like feeling it, and I just started breathing. And my son sitting next to me in the car, he got real quiet, and then he just said, "I love you, Mom." I'm like, "Yep," he notices. I don't even have to say. I just out. And he's not that aware. Let's just say, I mean, he's kind of aware, but not like that. Teenagers technically aren't that aware. But I was like, oh yeah, he's feeling it. But you know what? And then I just said, I can't say no, I'm not stressed, because that's a lie. They pick up on that too. So I said, let's both do some I statements right now. I am feeling stressed. I am feeling overwhelmed. I am feeling like it's hard for me to breathe. So let's both just breathe. So it's like that co-regulation piece. They really do look to us for that. Because I mean, like again, I keep going back to a 6-year-old, even a 4-year-old. They've only been on the planet for 4 years, 6 years. How do they have the skills? They don't. And so, and you know how they monkey see, monkey do everything that you do? You do it, and then they will do it. You do it, and then they will do it. Right? And same with self-care.
Yeah. And one of the things I've found, like I've been playing around with my 2.5-year-old grandson with this, is the whole idea of breathing and co-regulating is I will put him on my chest and I will go into like that breathing, just very regulated breathing, deep in and out. And I'll just feel him and he will match my breathing and calm down.
I love that.
And it's just something that you can do with children. And I didn't say to him anything. I didn't do anything. And my son does that too with him. When he's getting crazy and not making good choices, he'll just pick him up and hold him and say, let's just hug it out. And then like,
Hug it out.
and it works.
Yeah.
It's hug it out, and he's just being very calm, and I can see it in him, and I can see Caden just really change, and he gets it. He's different, and you can do that because our bodies will, when they are in close proximity, they will sync to each other.
Right.
Just like how if a bunch of women in a house, they'll all be on the same menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
It just works out that
same
way.
mood cycle too, right?
Yes.
But what
Yeah.
about those? I think you shared an article with me that said something about like there's like a 9 to 12 foot radius of like kids that can pick up, like kids can pick up on how you're feeling, how you're moving.
Yeah.
It's this like you're like in the middle of a donut and there's just like this thing, and I think some of us are more sensitive to that than others. I mean, I know
Yeah.
people who can't go into a crowded room because they feel everybody's
Empaths.
yeah, empaths, absolutely. I have friends who are like empaths. I'm like, how do you do that? And like if somebody has told you, you know how I'm feeling before I know how I'm feeling, yeah, you might be the empath in the room, right? Like if you can tell how your best friend is doing before they even open their mouth, yeah, you might be the empath in the room. But guess what? Kids are closer to the earth, and I think kids naturally they're more attuned, and we kind of teach it out of them. And so when kids are, especially when they're 4 and they're super honest, they're like, I don't like that person, or I don't want to give them a hug, or I don't want to be over there. That's what they're picking up on, that kind of stuff. I'm obviously preaching to the choir here that obviously our students would never be like that, right? But you know what? A 4-year-old will call you out and say, Miss Jackie, are you in a bad mood? The fuck out. And what do you do at that point? Say no, because then they'll be like, you're lying, like that's why I love 4-year-olds. There's no flim flam.
And then they learn to lie, right?
Exactly.
That's right. What are you teaching them?
And I don't know about you guys, but did you guys grow up in a environment or in an era where like the teachers were perfect and adults were perfect, and
Oh yeah.
parents never shed a tear, and parents were never had a bad day. Everything was just like perfect. It's just irrational to me. And I don't want to overdo that, but I do I do try to share with like little kids, like, oh yeah, Miss Marianne needs a break right now. Miss Marianne needs to do some breathing. Miss Marianne needs some boundaries. Miss Marianne needs a high five. Like, it's okay. It's okay to let them know that you have needs too. But there's a fine line there. You can't be overly needy because we are the leaders for them. But at the same time, you have to be honest with what's going on, or else you're going to get called out.
Well, the other point that happens is when you receive verbal messages and visual messages that are different, it creates mistrust.
Correct.
And so if you're saying, like you're saying, it's not bugging me, and there's nothing wrong,
Everything's
but
fine.
everything that I'm seeing
Everything's
in your
fine.
body motions is telling me that something is bugging you. That sends off like warning flares in my brain, like danger, 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 something's wrong.
Right.
Because your physical, the physical message that you send out are like, what is it, 90% of your communication is done through your body language.
Nonverbal.
It's all nonverbal.
Yep.
So when you think about that, I pay attention to people's bodies and their body language. I don't pay attention to what they say. I'm scanning their body. And so if you have a trauma history, you're already hypervigilant looking for danger.
Yep.
And so you're already wired for that, to be looking like, okay, where's the next threat coming from? And then when you get somebody who is not consistent with what their verbal and their physical communication is, that just sends you over the roof. Oh, I mean, over the edge, because now you just confirmed I can't trust you.
Hey, I agree, 100%. Because I even told my son, here's like a little life hack, because again, he has autism, and so social cues are like invisible to him. He has no clue. I said, look at the people, like, let's look far away and look at people talking. If their feet are not even pointing towards each other, one person's trying to like leave the conversation. At the very least, just look at their feet, right?
Yeah.
And you can see that with adults, where kids are like coming up and the adult is like kind of facing this way and like talking to the kid over here. It's really kind of interesting how that's at the very least. And then I do know, like, I'm a person I do cross my arms a lot, and that's just comfortable for me. But I also realize I'm like, I use it as a protecting my person.
Yeah.
And so I have to like stop for a second and know that that could get misread, especially from little people, little kids. And so
Yeah.
I stop and shake it out and just put my hands in, and I'll put my hands behind me so they can see that my chest is open to them, or I'll get down. Like, it's all those pieces. It's all those pieces. I even ran into a friend at Target, and her like 6-year-old was like, and I literally couldn't hear. So I literally got down, and she's like, "Oh, you're such a child development person. You got down on her level." And I was like, well, listen, I mean, you can't hear what she's saying. I can't hear what she's saying. I'm giving her the respect of just having a conversation with her. She's not an afterthought, she's a person, right? And so, oh, you're such a child development person. Like, that's a bad thing. And I was like, yeah, I'll take that any day, all day,
Yeah, any day.
any day, all day. So there's a lot wrapped up in there. And think of it this way. How many of you are working with kiddos right now? Like preschoolers or under 5? Jackie, Nicole? No?
No.
Okay. Just remember that kids the age of 2 and up, even if at a child care facility, are wearing masks. 2 years old and up have to wear a mask right now.
And what's going to be really curious is to see how that affects their ability to read and understand nonverbal communication.
Oh, I think we're going to see some little hiccups here. Like, we're going to see
For
hiccups
sure.
in like our evolution, the way we communicate. I think we're all becoming more expressive with our eyes, right? Because you can't see this, and I think we've all been lip reading just a little bit, and now we can't lip read.
Yeah.
And so we have to either lean in, we have to listen harder, or we have to like look through expressions through people's eyes, through body language. Like, another silver lining of COVID, it's like we've had to stop looking and actually connect in a way.
Yeah.
Weird. It's really, really weird. Really weird.
It takes people out of their comfort zone.
It does. It absolutely does. And so there's a lot evolving, even when we say child maltreatment and child's mental health. What was is was, or what is was, and now everything is just like
I am so worried for our youngest children right now, growing up without being able to be around extended family because their family can't fly to see them and support new parents and be there. I mean, it's really, and then what happens is you have parents who are sleep deprived, and then you get into the frustrated parents who are or caregivers or whatever who are, I need that break from my somebody to be here to help me at about 6 weeks. I'm about ready to 3 weeks to 6 weeks. I'm not ready to shoot myself. And I'm sleep deprived. I need a break, and they don't always get that right now, and they're
yeah.
not getting that support that they need from the extended family. It really worries me.
And I'm curious about just prolonged amounts of stress on little people and how that's going to affect, like, fertility has a direct link to stress.
Mm-hmm.
Infertility is on the rise, and that's just in adults my age and the last 20 years or whatnot. But like, the kids right now today might be having chronic and cumulative amounts of stress that are going to last a lifetime. Let's say they were never abused, they were never mistreated, they were never maltreated, but the chronic levels of stress on a little body and brain development, we have no idea how that's all going to play out.
So it's like you talk about the stress, and it's like you're soaking, it's the stress hormones that get activated when you go into that stress response state. All these hormones start swimming around in your body. Your body's designed to produce, okay, a cup of these hormones a day, but when it's getting a gallon of it swimming around in your body every day, your kidneys, all your endocrine system, all of those internal organs are not made to handle that. And so what happens is, the body breaks down. This body keeps score of all these things that are happening to your body, and the wear and tear that we're experiencing on our body, it takes this toll.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just looking through this report about stress 2020 in America, and I mean the numbers were 80%, or 8 out of 10 people are experiencing stress. 78%, 80%, 66% in 2019, 77% in 2020. Future of our nation is a significant source of stress. In 2019, it was 66%. 2020, it's 77%. And you think about what's happened in the last 6 months, last year of our, in addition to COVID, in addition to the equities that we're dealing with, and just the violence, it is taking a toll.
Yeah, it's
all
really,
of us.
yeah, it's really interesting. And again, when you have parents fighting to get students back in the classroom, because yes, social emotional learning happens not through Zoom, right?
Right.
And it's really interesting. And again, we don't. So I've shared, my son has autism. He goes to a special school for autism. It's interesting. Those kids have been in school because it's a private school and they're able to go to school since June. These are the kids who need the social emotional learning. They need that face-to-face, which is great. So I'm curious to see if like the neurotypicals have gotten stunted and the kids with autism, they're like maybe not excelling, but maybe there's like the difference is kind of it's creating parity. I'm curious. I have no way to you have no way to test it. Like if he was a twin and one twin was in a typical school, one twin wasn't, right? That would be that's fascinating to me. My mind's always thinking of that. But how do we know what the trajectory of this one child, let's say, any child right now who's like on this trajectory, and then the COVID, like like how can you, COVID affected everybody, and who's gotten through it unstressed? Anybody? Do you guys know anybody who's like, oh yeah, my cousin's like gardener or like whatever, boyfriend's babysitters, Ferris Bueller's like
how far down the rabbit hole do you have to go for that one?
Yeah. Oh, they've had a good old time. They put their feet up and they're tending to their house plants and they made $1 million during COVID. No, nobody lost weight. Nobody got $1 billion. Maybe Jeff Bezos. He lost a spouse and gained 30% more wealth. You know what I'm saying? But that's like so rare. Like we're all affected in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this wild piece that if we're still like fumbling around with it, how are our little people doing?
Do you think we'll ever get back to like a norm? Whatever that means anymore?
I don't think we'll ever go back to the way we were. What is the new normal? I don't know what that is. If we could just if we just could develop some empathy and that's not feeling sorry for somebody, that's feeling sorry with them. It's not for them, but being with that person. That would just be huge.
So it's like that empath thing. If everybody was like a seedlet or had a sprout of empathy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying nobody has empathy, nobody doesn't have empathy, but if there was a takeaway of COVID, if there was a silver lining, and there's multiple, that our empathy, our ability to care for somebody in a way that they need based on you feeling like, wow, this must be tough for me. I wonder what it's like for them. And then attending to them in that need. Like if
Mhm.
there's just a seed planted of that and just a seedlet in everybody that just is like, hey, I know this has been hard for me. I wonder what it's like for XYZ person, you know? Any sort of empathy. And again, there are people who are empaths who are like a billion times, you know, super just naturally focused into that business. But I think if the world was able to grow a little bit more empathy on a general as a standard, I think we're going to all be better for it. But yeah, education, going back to the way, impossible. I think we're going to be looking at a hybrid model for even, you know, elementary schools forever. You know, block schedule.
And I think it's also because some children actually thrive. There are children who are doing very, very well
Yep.
in
Yep.
in this setup.
Yeah.
And then there are children who are just really struggling.
Well, think about it. I mean, Jody we talked about it right before this class. Is like we were both the ones in high school that were just like
Get me the hell out of this place. This is boring.
boring. If I had an option for online high school, I would have been in there out in a heartbeat. Me sitting in front of a computer for 3 or 4 years. Oh yeah, I would have done that. Like I already, you know, I had enough credits to graduate as a sophomore. Like I was done. So like there are some kids who are just like they're avoiding bullying. They don't have to deal with that. This social pressure.
Right. When's the last school shooting we've had?
There was, I think there was.
Who would have thought it took COVID to get rid of school shootings, you know?
No, but I think there was one today. I sort of heard.
Oh,
There's one
yeah,
today.
that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
And that's my fear is as we go back, everybody's going to be, there'll be so many students who are the stress level that I'm worried what's going to happen when they do come back to campus.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. So one day at a time, right, ladies? One day at a
Yeah.
time.
I'm worried about kids not wearing their masks either.
Yes. Yes.
It's hard though because I mean, technically we don't know everything about everything with when it comes to COVID, but most of the research that we have says like under the age of 16, the kids are relatively so healthy.
Right.
But there are some kids who are going to, you know, be in different situations than that. Some kids are more medically fragile. So, yeah, the mask thing is funky, but we're looking at the most healthy quadrant of our society. So it's a little bit of a give and take. But at the same time, it's hard to know everything because we don't know everything about everything. And it does affect everybody differently, even the vaccine. So yeah, so it's really interesting. Like I got the first one and I was like, some arm pain. The second one was rough for me. And I have a friend who had not even arm pain both times. So everybody's going to process it differently, but our kids are technically the healthiest ones. So it's interesting.
My daughter's pediatrician, she went in for her well check or something, and they said my daughter mentioned she was going to go to the park, and the pediatrician just said, "Thank you." She goes, "Please take these children to the park. We don't understand why they're not affected, but please get these kids out and get them socializing with each other." And
build up an immunity, their own immune system.
yeah.
Yeah. And we even talked about this too, like the hand sanitizer piece. Like I'd never even owned hand sanitizer before this business. Now I got like a spray in every room and every purse and everything, every car. And like, it's like, and yeah, I use it a lot.
Same.
Yeah. And we're all healthy. We're all good. Like,
Yeah.
but up to that point, I'm like, dirt don't hurt. Like, and my kids only like up to, I think this year only missed 6 days of school for illness ever. So, and I think half of those are just being safe, you know, being mopey and safe and low grade fever. But like, it's a weird thing. I think we're going to be seeing different immune differences now. And how about the flu? We're not seeing the knockdown, drag out flu because guess what? We are wearing masks.
And that's what, there was something on the news and it blurred by and I didn't get a chance to hear it, but they were talking about how the allergy symptoms were a lot less. And I wonder if that's because we're wearing masks.
I tell you, I was gardening the other day and the wind kicked up. The wind kicked up, and I have seasonal allergies. Like as you get older, sorry to break it to you, you get weirder allergies or more dire allergies. And so I literally grabbed a mask. I was like, thank you, Jesus. I was like, thank you for the masks. I was like, and the wind was kicking up, and I didn't have a big old flare up the next day.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I was
So
like,
I do have to wonder if, that has something to do with it, the masks and allergies.
yeah. And now I have like a dozen masks in my car, in my
Where don't we have a mask?
I'm just like, seriously. And I've like handed them out, like out my window. Here you go. Like, here you go. Remember when we couldn't find them and we're all just like being silly with it, and now they're like everywhere. They're ubiquitous. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. Another way that we adapt. Yeah, it's funky. Kids can learn. Kids can learn.
Yeah. Well, before it's 8:25. It's almost. So I just want to make sure you have any questions about the assignments or anything. Just make sure to read. Like Marianne said, we talk and we go over stuff that we see. Make sure each other's are on board. We want you to be successful. We want to make sure that you're also get your work done, because the last thing we want to do is have it all dropped on us the last week of class.
Right.
If you can't put in the effort to do the work ahead of time, it's really hard for us to put in the grading.
Yeah.
The work that it takes to grade it all in the last week of class.
Yeah, and speaking of that, we grade a little bit every day, so just be aware as your stuff comes in and we're grading. But also looking ahead, this class does not end the same time the other classes do. This class ends a bit early, 2 weeks early.
May 23rd.
Yeah. So don't think in the back of your head, oh, this class goes till June. I have plenty of time. We're
You're gonna be surprised.
We're on week 8 out of 12.
Yeah, 4 more weeks.
Yeah, we have a month.
Crazy is that? And this is our last session that's the scary part too. This is our last session in health, and we get started on nutrition.
Yeah.
Next week. And so there's 4 chapters on nutrition, and we're pretty much done with the big projects. There'll be, you'll have a unit reflection to do. You have your childhood, your illness thing to do. You'll be doing a menu type plan assignment, which is part of the course objectives, which they used to be really hard, but now there's so much out there on the internet for menus and stuff.
Absolutely.
Such good information about children's menus. And I actually ran up on the state committee that I am on. They put out a nutrition for trauma.
Oh, cool.
For people affected by trauma. So, I mean, we actually worked on something like that. So that was a really cool type of thing. So it's just kind of amazing what you get into. Sometimes.
I love it. It's all interconnected. It's never
separate. It is all
not alone. We are all interconnected. Our bodies, our food, our minds, our thinking, our hearts, and everything. It's all connected. And again, if that's the silver lining of all this, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions before we go?
Yeah.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Sure, Nicole.
So I did my mandated reporter certification during intersession.
Good.
And I turned it in, but so I was wondering, do I still have to do the reflection, even though I did it a while ago?
Good question.
Now, are you talking intersession like
January?
Winter intersession?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so you did it during that time. So then what you would do, you did the general and the child care, or which ones?
There's a 4-hour general one and there's a 3-hour child care provider one.
I don't think I've done the child care provider one.
You still need to do that one.
So you need to do that one. And then what you'll need to do is at least two of the workshops, the alternative workshops. Because the idea, if you think about it, I can't just say, okay, you're good, your certification is done, so you just get 155 points because you did that 6 months ago or a year ago. That's not fair to the students who haven't done it and have to do it as part of this class. So to offset that, I found a bunch of trainings that you could do. They're all an hour and a half long. They all come with their certificate. They're all, I believe, a little bit interactive. And so then what you need to do is you either do 8 hours of the 7 hours of the training, or you do 8 hours of the workshops, because there's an hour for the test. So it really comes out to about 8 and 8. Because the test, so that's where we got the 8, the exam for the certificate. So then what you would do is if you've already completed the general, that's done. Do the 3-hour training, and then do 4 hours worth of the alternative. There's one that says alternative trainings for mandated reporter.
Right. So real quick, Nicole, I went back to the mandated reporter ca.com, and you'll see this general training, and it'll tell you if it's complete. And this won't give you a certificate.
Yeah, that's what I think I did.
Okay, so screenshot this one.
Right.
Training complete, and upload the screenshot, so we know that that's complete. Do this one, but since this one's already done, that's what Jody was saying. Like, this is now going to be your equivalent workshops because you've already done it. So let me show you what that looks like over here. This is what it looks like on your grade sheet. You're going to see your 4-hour certificate, or you're just a screenshot. That's worth 75. Your 3-hour one is worth 50. And then you're going to have a reflection. Now, she was saying you don't have to do the reflection on the 4-hour because it was like in January, right? Yeah. But you will be taking a 3-hour and a test. So do those 2 reflections. And then
I still do the reflection for the one that I did in January.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's great if it was that close. And
and then this alternative one. So I'm going to click on there. So it's going to show you all the options. You're going to see all these different, oh no, that's the submission page.
Good.
Let me go back.
Assignments.
Yeah, let me see, I can do it up here.
Okay.
There's all these little hyperlinks in there that Jody picked out that are really cool. Check this out. Right, so you go to that site, set up a profile.
All hyperlinked right there.
Yeah, and choose the ones that are fascinating to you.
And a lot of them are on trauma. And because originally we set this up for
But we're talking about maltreatment.
We were doing it for 220, and then we decided hey, we need to put this in 112 too.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these are on trauma and resilience, but play therapy and ACEs training. I mean, there's just, I would like to go look at them all.
I know, I kind of want to do all of them. I was like, when can I do it? 90 minutes?
It's amazing what you can find out there for training stuff. So so just do the alternative hours. Yeah, I think I renamed it alternative hours, so that way it made sense.
Yeah, I understand more. Thank you.
That's why, so sorry about it all kind of, the apple cart got kicked over this week, but it was confusing for everybody. So we try to simplify it.
Right.
So if you did submit something, I kind of wiped it out, and then we're going to regrade it as people are putting it in the right spots. Now, if you just happen to put it in the wrong spot, that's not the end of the world. We'll fix it. Yeah. So just do what you can. We just wanted to give everybody like a clean slate to go to get that in. And then I moved the due date, so there's no penalties off.
We cannot move your documents and submit them in another. We can't do any of that stuff. We can't submit stuff on your behalf.
It's your account,
yeah.
But if it all shows up, let's say you put the 3-hour one and the 4-hour one, we can see that, and we can move the points over. Who cares?
Or we just write a note, and we write a note in the comments section that says, see this for that grade or whatever. We can figure it out. Yeah. The thing is, just get it in there somehow. And then if we have questions, or what else, data students, just write in the comments for your
mission.
They said I did that, but I didn't get a certificate for my general training. I said, just write in the comment section that when you submit your or notes or whatever, say I submitted this, but I did the training, but I didn't get a copy. I didn't get a certificate. That'll just remind me to, when I'm grading it, then it helps me because then I'll be like, oh, okay, need to go fix that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're here to help you guys get the points that you are entitled.
Exactly what we're here for. It's about you finishing this course,
Right.
getting the credit for it, and moving on to the next piece of your adventure.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to fail this class. There are too many. There's
many opportunities to do well, and you guys are doing
there's
well.
opportunities to do well. And at this point, I mean, even up to like week 10, if something happens, I have no problem doing incompletes. And because you know what the nice thing about an incomplete is? They never show up on your transcripts. You put W, it shows up on your transcripts.
Correct.
If you have to get the instructor to agree to an incomplete, that's the problem. And most don't. But I have a student right now, she contacted me 3 weeks ago. She's got until the end of spring semester. It's a year to complete the work. She is now doing the work for last spring's class that she missed. And what'll happen is that I goes away. She's going to get a letter grade. She's going to get credit for the class. She doesn't have to completely retake it. An incomplete does not affect your financial aid. And there's no record of that incomplete on your transcript.
Once you do all the work and clear it out, it's gone. Yeah.
But the battle is in most instructors will not give an incomplete. They would rather you do enough to get a C in the class so that for a lot of reasons. It's a lot of work to do an incomplete. I will tell you that right now.
But again, you guys have the choice. So here's the thing. It's not like a choice, but let's say you're doing, the way you need to go. Like you're doing well in the class and then something pops up the last 2 weeks.
Right.
That's a great opportunity for an incomplete. If you're like not participating and turning in poor work all semester, that is not grounds for an incomplete.
I will never agree to that.
Right. So because it's like if you establish a pattern, you don't need more time to establish that failing pattern, right? So we have to be equitable about it. Yeah. But again, because we know life happens, also realize that there is the emergency withdrawal. We don't always tell people like, drop the class, whatever. But
that show up on their transcripts at EW?
Yeah, it will. But I think as far as I understand, the EW is a little bit more understandable because it's an emergency withdrawal.
Yeah.
More of a situational thing like the pandemic, or it was created for the forest fires in Chico.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in 2018. And so it's a right that you guys have you're welcome to exercise that. And here's another option too. If you don't pass the class, can take it again. Community college, your next grade overwrites the grade.
That's exactly.
It overwrites the grade. I retook statistics at Fullerton College. Guess what? Are you guys like freaked out that your professor failed a class? No, I took it again and got an A.
I got a B once. No, I got an A- once.
Really? You're such a good student. No, I took statistics. So here's another thing. I took statistics at like 7 to 10 on like a Thursday night. Like stupid. What was I doing? I was working full time at a bank and then like would go to class afterwards. And I was like tired, burnout. What the heck? And then it was all these like older people coming to take statistics for their jobs, right? Their quality control jobs or whatever. Yeah. I was so lost, right? And I'm not terrible at math, but I'm not the greatest at it either. I'm just like, I'll fight for it, I'll fight for the grade. So I went to every class, went to every study session. I was like a pest to the teacher. And he was like a nice dude or whatever. And like, I was like, D-. Like, I worked my butt off. Can you please change my grade? He said, no problem. He changed it to a D+. And then I was like, dude, come on, right? And he goes, listen, if I give you a C, you didn't learn statistics, but if I give you a D plus, you can retake it and overwrite the grade. And I
Yeah.
said, thank you, sir. And that was like, he was more invested in me learning than passing me.
Right.
Yeah. And I was like, that's the point. And I mean, I still remember that guy to this day. I'm like, the lessons that you learn in failing, like that guy, my stats teacher. And guess what? I took it the next semester, Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 to 10 a.m. when my brain was awake and got an A. So know yourself, know when your brain's awake and do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're here, whatever fork in the road your life takes you, we're here to help you figure that out in a way. We can't do everything, but we can support you in a way that, whatever decision is best for you, we'll see how we can, help you with that.
Sorry, I'm killing bugs on my computer.
Okay,
All right.
we'll let you guys go unless you have any more questions.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for stopping in tonight. It was nice to talk to you guys.
You want to say
Thank
good night,
you.
All right. See you
All right.
next week.
Mom? We have
Thank
a
you
good
for your
night,
time.
Whisker.
Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. Bye,
Have
Nicole.
a good week.
Bye,
Thank
Nicole.
you
Bye,
for your
Melody.
time.
Bye, Jackie.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Peyton,
Hi, Auntie Jody.
Give me kisses.
how are you? Haven't seen you in a while. You've been hiding.
Show her how big you are. Not your belly. Get closer. Homie gained like 15 pounds.
Oh my gosh, you're Hulk. You're
Yeah,
Hulk.
show her your guns.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Whoa, you're serious. Got some
Where's
guns.
Kit Kat? Where's Mike and Ike?
Oh, we're
I can see it.
Heather's probably sleeping.